Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. I haven't said this sort of announcement before, but if you ever see anyone who might be impersonating me, watch out for that. And also email us. Go through the website because that's the sure way to contact me. Because occasionally on YouTube and other places, there are people who impersonate really everyone, and they're always trying to scam you for some crypto thingy. So watch out for that, and also let us know if you ever do see anything. It's weird. Like, they can use my name, my picture, everything, and you would never know, because why would you look into that? So, just be careful. For the record, I'll never try to sell you crypto. So if you ever see that, automatically an impersonator. Yeah, let's watch.
You have fun?
Yes,
Yeah?
thank you.
What's on your mind?
I like you a lot, and I try to understand, how to fit you into my plan.
Okay. Well, what do you want?
All right, so it's starting a lot better than I thought it would. I thought she was just going to blast him, so maybe spending some time with him has regulated her. Let's find out what happens.
I realized I came to US and I got married. I separated and I'm lost, I wanted to have a child many years ago, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with her talking about this, obviously. And there's nothing wrong with, even on the first date, just being like, hey, this is my plan. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to do it pretty quick. But how do you approach the other person? Do you demand that they commit one way or the other? Do you get super upset if they say something like, well, I like you, and certainly that could be in the cards soon, but I'm certainly not ready to commit to that on the fourth date. I don't know if they're on the fourth date, but it's something along those lines. If you irrationally interpret that as an indication that they're not really into you, then that is shooting yourself in the foot. But I'm actually, emotionally, what I'm going to do is prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. And that would involve her getting very hostile with him, melting down, crying, fetal position. I really hope that doesn't happen, but it could.
I want to have a family eventually. I want to be a mom. I can't waste my life on someone who doesn't want family.
Sure. Well, I didn't say I didn't want a family.
Say,
I have family.
Do you want?
I
Okay.
have
But I want my
a
own.
family.
I want my child.
Sure.
All right, this is actually going pretty well. There was some word choices that she was using. I don't want to waste my time. That could feel hurtful, are you wasting your time with me? But absolutely, if he doesn't want to have any more kids, then yeah, it's pretty much a deal breaker for Natalie, regardless of how she feels about him.
I couldn't get pregnant with my ex-husband in Ukraine. I went to clinic and I started to drink medicine, do all tests, and after they do shoots. And I started this, and after I stopped because we started fighting, and I decided to stop for a while, and it was emotionally hard on me.
Did Mike want a child?
No. I didn't have much sex with Mike, to be honest.
Well, maybe at some point he didn't want to have kids, but he certainly did in the beginning, unless he was lying. He didn't seem like he was lying. So, interesting, we're learning more about her history, that when she was married to her husband in Ukraine, she wanted to have kids. They were both trying to have kids, and she didn't get pregnant, and so she was going through a lot of medical treatment, she was saying, and that would be really hard. That can be very stressful. The uncertainty, the expense, the procedures, the invasiveness, feeling like you're barren, right? There's something wrong with you. Barren meaning it's just a terrible word. I don't know the origin of that word, but it's always felt extremely judgmental. And of course, her husband, his biology or behavior could have played a role as well. I don't know. It sounds to me like it was more determined, or at least in part, that her biology was a factor. But anyway, yeah, for many people, they define themselves in part, if not a large part of themselves, as having the ability to have kids, right? And if it's found that you can't or you're having trouble with it, it can feel like you don't even know who you are or that you don't have any worth. I would hope that Natalie had other reasons to love herself other than that. But it sounds like she might be at least a little bit optimistic that in the future she could still have kids. So, I don't know what the situation is, but yeah, that could take a toll. And maybe that's another reason why she has more franticness about having kids, because she might know it'll take a while to, for it to take hold, or it might also explain why earlier she thought that in all likelihood she wouldn't get pregnant having had unprotected sex just once. The way she responded, it was like she didn't know it was possible to get pregnant from just having sex one time. But from her experience, she might be like, look, I was trying for years with unprotected sex to have a child with my husband, and I never got pregnant, so what's the chance of it happening now? I will say that does happen at times. But yeah, so that must have been rough for her.
But the times that I had, I wanted a child. But I never got pregnant.
Would you consider, not with me, just in general, for future, have one more child ever?
Okay, interesting. So she's asking, generally speaking, with me or with anyone, would you consider having one more child ever? It's a really good way of phrasing it.
I mean, it's not out of the question, but I don't know. It's not like a priority of mine right now because, as you can see, I have a lot going on and my time is super limited. And I don't want to take something else on that I won't be able to give my time and attention to.
Thank you for your answer. I don't know what to say. I don't like it.
All right, she's taking it pretty well, and I think that's part of her blunt nature, which is fine. It's not hostile, particularly. Some people might take it that way, but she's smiling. I wonder how she managed to regulate. Well, it could be in terms of what we saw. She was at the beginning of melting down. Then the two of them had a romantic hike, and they were overlooking the area and hugging and kissing, and so that might have helped her to regulate. And now she's more centered, and so she can think through and differentiate, right? She can say, wow. So I'm guessing that what's happening for her is she's thinking, wow, that's a huge bummer, right there. That might mean that we can't be together. And it's not his fault. It's not my fault. We just have this difference in what we want with our future. So she's saying, I don't like that, but it is what it is, I think is what she's saying, which is good.
You don't like it?
I would better to hear no. At least I don't waste my time on you.
It's not yes, it's not no. I need to make
And
sure
it's
that
no.
So I'm guessing what his answer meant, I don't know, but typically when I hear people answer like that, what it means is that if everything stays the same, no, they don't want to have kids. But if they fall in love and they get married and his partner is willing to maybe take on primary responsibilities while he is still working on his career, and maybe he'll scale back a little bit, but it sounds like he doesn't want to give up on his career. And if his partner knew what they were getting into, then he would consider it especially if it meant that it was a deal breaker for someone that he was falling in love with, that sort of thing. I think that's what it means. It also could be a passive way of basically saying no. I've heard people respond like this who are saying, well, I'm not saying it's an impossible. So, it'd sort of be like if you were to ask me, yes or no, is it possible that you might quit being a podcaster and do something else with your life? I would say, well, it's not, I don't know. Who knows what the future holds? A lot of things could happen. But I am almost positive that I am going to be a podcaster until I can no longer talk, and maybe beyond that. So So I don't know which one it is that he is coming from, because it could definitely be that second one, right, where he's like, yeah, no, there's really no chance given my career. I already have a family. I've already been through that. I don't want to go through it again. He's 40, I think. So he's probably calculating in his mind. He's thinking, well, if I have a kid, probably by the time I'm 43, and the kid graduates from high school, I'm 61. That doesn't seem like something I want to do. So I wonder if he's in that camp. But I don't know. Maybe he's more flexible, and maybe Natalie will see that as a possible reason to continue the relationship and see what happens. I don't know.
I have
Look at
time
her.
and attention to have that in my life.
It doesn't seem like getting any answers.
Are you okay with that?
I'm not okay with it. He didn't give me a yes and no.
Yeah, she isn't completely melting down. She's in that direction, right, where she, I think if she were to get a little bit more triggered, a little bit more upset, she would say something like, he's using me, or something like that, or how come he can't just give me an answer? But he did give an answer, and I think it's an honest answer, and I think a lot of people have that kind of an answer of like, well, I wasn't planning on it, but I'm not going to rule it out. So, but I could see that being troubling for her. And if I were her friend, I would tell her to seriously consider what he's saying, because there's a chance that even if you did fall in love and things did work out for the two of you in your relationship, given the way he responded, I would say give it a pretty good. In fact, I would put if I were betting on this scenario, I would bet on him not wanting kids ever, the way that he responded. He's not saying that it's impossible, but he's pretty much saying it's not really what he's looking for at this point.
Josh and I, we spent the last few days together. I asked him if he wants to have another child. He doesn't say no, but he doesn't say yes. It's confusing. I wish I could change this. I wish. I want men to appreciate my life because I deserve it.
And who knows, they might have edited that a little bit, but if that is accurate, that's her take, is that she interprets him at the age of 40 already having a family, already having a child, him saying, well, I wasn't really planning on having kids, but it's not off the table entirely. She interprets that as him not appreciating her life, as if it's a personal choice that he's making to personally deny her needs or wants or rights or something like that.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
How was your time here?
I was sad that I didn't have enough time with you.
Yeah. Well, I thought we had a great day, today. So I'm going to do some thinking, and I would like for you to do some thinking, and I want to keep going with you. But I just don't want to keep going on a loop-de-loop. So I'm emotionally drained today.
What is drained? I don't know the word to say.
Interesting. I don't know what he's referring to. Is he talking about the kid issue, or is he voicing what I would imagine would be normal, his distress and upsetness around the way that she is triggered and the way that she is hostile towards him in minor and major ways? Is he talking about that? Let's see what he says here.
Drained is like what?
Like when you drain the water, it's a disappearing.
Осушать.
Sushat. I'm asushat.
You are осушать?
Yeah. From what?
Josh, I would never ask you questions about child. Never, if I wasn't serious. I just put into my mind this idea that I want to have a child. But on the other hand, I didn't predict that things go this way. Do you understand?
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, what I think she is saying is, I wish he would have said, no, I don't get it, because I would want some clarification. But I think what she's saying is, I definitely want to have a child, But in light of what you said, that you probably don't but might, normally I would want to leave you, but I really like you a lot, so I don't know. Maybe I would give up my desire to have kids, or is that what she's saying?
I care for her, and I think I have been 100% clear. I haven't played any games. I mean, I'm open for talks of kids in my life if it makes sense for me time-wise, that, you know, I can actually do that. But I've given her as much, you know, clarity as I can. I just kind of want to see where it goes. I want to leave on a high note.
What does it mean?
Like, I don't want to leave, remember how we left last time? I want to have a good goodbye with you. Do you accept that?
I think it's good start.
Thank you.
A good goodbye.
Thank you.
All right, so I was expecting the worst. Maybe if I expect the worst and hope for the best, then good things happen. Because when I don't expect the worst, it happens and it distresses me. So it looks like things are actually going well for her. That's good.
I'm leaving with positive thoughts. Like, there's still something. So, work me out.
And I will say that Josh handled it pretty well. He was nice, but communicative about what he would like, that he does like her. I'm worried, though, that she might be misinterpreting what he's saying, because the way it sounds to me, I don't know if I showed all the clips, but of him saying, I care for her, and I want to see where this goes, those kinds of phrases. When I hear that, I hear someone in the very beginning of a dating relationship who is very unsure about whether or not the relationship is going to work. Like, if he were to be very honest, I would guess that he would say something like, well, I don't know, maybe it won't work, but it could, you know, maybe if she isn't hostile, maybe she was just going through a phase where she gets hostile, but I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. I mean, there seems to be some signs. That's what I hear, but I think she might be hearing that he feels the same way that she does, which is, I think, a lot more intense. And that's okay, and maybe that's necessary so that she doesn't get triggered, so that he can catch up to her. I don't know.
I feel exhausted. I feel situation is better than in LA because we parted on a good note. On one hand, I had a lot of beautiful, positive emotions. On the other hand, I was upset. I told him what I want. He needs to think.
Now commitment are up in the air.
She's handling it really well, and I'm wondering why. Maybe this is more of her default mode, and the meltdown that she had previously a couple weeks ago is more of an extreme end to her reactivity. I don't know, I'm really surprised that she's able to handle this. Maybe she is believing that he will change his mind and eventually come to her and say, you know what, I do want to have kids. And honestly, given the way things have been going with Josh, I wouldn't be surprised by that. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he's like, yeah, I'm still not really into having kids in the future. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. Either way, she's doing really well right now, because given her normal reactivity, this would be one of those moments where she would be up in arms and hostile and angry and burning the house down to get rid of a spider. You know what I mean?
Was this expected?
No, it was not what I expected because he's not understanding me at all. He doesn't understand. So I'm leaving to Florida without answers and maybe even without Josh anymore.
Right. So that was more in line with what I thought would be happening. He doesn't understand me. Maybe I'll be leaving him now, which is true. But the bit about not understanding me, what doesn't he understand? If I was to take a guess as to what she means by that, she's saying, I don't think he understands that I am adamant about having children. Why isn't he just agreeing with me? I think she sees it from that self-centered place, like that because she needs it and wants it, if he doesn't want it, he doesn't understand her or is denying her something. You know, she was saying things along those lines earlier. I don't know. That could be me just looking at it negatively.
Are you gonna miss him?
Yes, yeah.
All right, well, I want to thank everyone for liking this video or any of my videos, or just weighing in if you like or dislike. I check that every time, and it's nice to see. Sometimes, particularly if I'm putting out something that's a little controversial, I will look at that to be like, oh God, oh God. Recently, I had posted something about Kanye and his anti-Semitic troubling communications and his supposed his supposed apology. And I commented on that, and I was really worried because, it's one of those topics. But a lot of people had indicated that the ratio of likes to dislikes was high, and so I always look at that. So if you ever, particularly if you see me talking about something that's controversial, the vote, it helps me to feel like I know what's going on. And I suppose, if I say something that's awful, downvoting me is also a way of getting back, a way of giving me feedback. But honestly, I'd much rather have you just email me, go through the website. It's the sure way to contact me. And, because downvoting, I'm like, sometimes I'm not really quite sure what the complaint was. But anyway, if you've participated in that, thank you so much. I do this because I'm curious about what you all think. Deeply, I care and am interested. So yeah, and really that goes for all content providers. I'm pretty sure we all are desperately wondering if we're doing okay, and we're, very at our core insecure and unsure. And so, the way that I think about it is I'm used to being a professor, and one of the ways that I will get feedback from the students is that they'll just give me eye contact or smile or nod their head when I'm giving a lecture, or participate in class, or say hello when they enter the classroom. Those little human polite indicators tell me that I'm on the right track. Whereas on YouTube, it's like I record this stuff, I put it out there, I don't see your faces. You know what I mean? And while I'm on that topic, if you ever want to take a picture of your environs when you're watching the YouTube channel, sometimes people will tag me on Instagram or something. And I don't know, it just makes me feel like, it's kind of cozy, or I feel like I can see you. I see you where you are, when you're watching. It sounds creepy. My point is that if you ever want to do that, it connects me to what's really happening. In the same way that when I'm teaching, I'm connected. I feel like and I try to give back to the students, right? The students are way more insecure than I am typically. So I try to praise them, and it's a two-way street. Anyway, so yeah, take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.